You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Okay. Good morning. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as the Empire State Development for this Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. So we got 3/23/23 today. That's the number to play.
Boxed and squared.
Very good. Like we always do, since not everybody knows everybody, my name is Kevin Law. I'm the chair.
Michael Rosen.
John Wall.
Rob Simpson.
Kevin Eunice.
Noah Raymond.
Arden Sokolow.
Matt Gray.
Heidi Knobloch.
Rebecca Pellegrini.
Kathleen Mize.
Ray Orlando.
Elisa Hockeiser.
Goldie Wexel.
Liz Luskin.
Benson Martin.
Hilda Rosario Escher.
Hope Knight.
Great, and we have a lot of staffers on the side with us. Thank you for joining us today. I'll recognize a quorum, and we'll get going with the meeting. I'd like to remind staff, members joining us remotely, to please mute your audio until you are ready to speak. I'd like to note that the public was given both an opportunity to attend the meeting, but I think we have all staff here. Is there anybody from the public? Not seeing any. We also gave the public an opportunity to provide written comments to all the agenda items today, and as of this morning, we have not received any comments from the public regarding today's agenda. We're getting another lockdown announcement, so I don't know, is that interrupting the streaming, or should we just continue? For those who may be watching, we're getting some reports from our security in the building today. Seems to be some type of ruckus downstairs. So that means we're going to have a nice, long meeting. So hopefully by the time the meeting is over, whatever's happening downstairs will be over by the time we're done. No, so as always, the directors have received the written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time during the meeting. If any board members have any potential or real or perceived conflicts at the appropriate time, I'll ask you to please note that for the record and recuse yourself. Our first item of business is the approval of the minutes of February 16th, 2023. Which have been circulated, moved by Rob, seconded by John. Any comments, revisions, additions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The minutes are approved. I'll now call on Hope Knight, ESD's President and CEO, for her President's report.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, directors. Our March meeting is always a week later than usual, as so many ESD team members are involved in the state budget process. Discussions continue in Albany between Governor Hochul and the state legislature. At last month's meeting, I outlined some of the governor's priorities, including $45 million for GoSemi, the governor's Office of Semiconductor Expansion, Management, and Integration to lead the growth of the state semiconductor industry, matching funds for small businesses applying for federal grants, and an unprecedented commitment to the film and entertainment industry, making New York competitive with other states. The budget is due on April 1st, and we look forward to advancing the economic development programs and initiatives that are included. Last month, I attended the State Economic Development Executives Network Conference in Louisiana. The SETI Network is a group of state economic development and commerce officials, and the conference provides an opportunity to talk about ideas and best practices. It's clear to me that New York stands apart. Economic development is a team sport, and I've said this countless times, but it's true, especially here at ESD, where our divisions and departments have strong relationships with local and federal economic development partners. And when we all work together, great things happen. We saw some of this connectivity at EDC's Economic Development Conference in Albany. ESD was well represented as featured speakers, panelists, and attendees. The conference was a great opportunity to underscore the importance of our state and local partnerships, as well as their results. Together, we are generating economic growth with things like preparing shovel-ready sites, transforming blight in our communities, growing small businesses and a skilled workforce, and attracting next-generation companies that are committing to transformative job, climate, and investment goals. This month, I also spoke at the City and State's Broadband for All event in Manhattan. I was joined by Josh Breitbart, Senior Vice President of our Connect All office. This was an opportunity to discuss the importance of high-speed connectivity, both economically and socially. Digital equity is equally crucial to the physical infrastructure we help to build. It means everybody should have the skills and resources to benefit from the digital economy, something that has been a priority for Governor Hochul. It also means hearing from diverse voices of local stakeholders. Our Connect All team is currently hosting internet and digital equity listening sessions in each of the state's 10 regions. Josh and his team are partnering with local digital inclusion advocates to hear from those working close to the digital divide. Each event will discuss barriers to internet access and the resources and opportunities available to help address those barriers. They will focus on the human side of digital infrastructure by considering things like the affordability and reliability of internet service and how historically marginalized communities can improve their lives online. The schedule for those sessions can be found on the Connect All website. The Connect All office, along with our Office of Strategic Workforce Development, was established in last year's budget. Over the past year, both programs have made great progress. They are a testament to ESD's ability to stand up new programs and hit the ground running. We collectively look forward to what is agreed upon in the coming week. And I know that ESD stands ready to rise for the challenge. And with that, I conclude my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Hope. I know the Senate and the Assembly both came out with their one-house budgets. I know they changed a bunch of policy things the governor had proposed, but how did we do in terms of her proposed budget for economic development? Did they make major changes or tweaks or anything that we should be concerned about?
You know, some tweaks, and we're working through trying to negotiate, where we'd like to be.
But nothing really significant?
Yeah.
Good, good. All right. Any other questions for Hope? All right. Well, thank you, Hope. We'll go continue with the agenda. Next up, we have Kathleen Mize. She's our Deputy Chief Financial Officer and Controller, and she's going to walk us through the 23-24 budget for the UDC doing business as ESD.
Thank you, Chairman Lauren. Good morning, directors. In compliance with ESD's fiduciary responsibility and public authorities law, request is being made to the directors to approve ESD's fiscal year 23-24 fiscal operating budget. Here, I'll refer to it as the budget going forward. The approximately $137.5 million budget includes operating costs associated with the administration and oversight of existing economic development programs, such as Connect All, the State Small Business Credit Initiative, SSBCI, you'll hear about both of those today, and various statewide real estate projects, as well as additional programs in Governor Hochul's proposed fiscal year 23-24 executive budget. These initiatives require additional support, including from federal funding, to allow for effective management and supervision by ESD staff. Among the new initiatives is the creation of the Office of Semiconductor Expansion, Management, and Integration, GoSemi, which will further support the historic investment by Micron to build a mega fab in central New York and efforts to further develop New York's semiconductor industry. The operating budget includes expenses associated with the administration of economic development programs and projects on behalf of the state, but does not include any proposed programmatic state appropriations for specific programs that have been included in the governor's proposed fiscal year 23-24 executive budget or prior years' enacted budgets. The budget includes approximately $79 million of total personal services expenses, including salaries and fringe benefits, which will allow ESD to successfully develop, launch, and manage existing, new, and expanded programmatic portfolios with the staff required to do so, particularly within Connect All, GoSemi, SSBCI, workforce development, and the areas that directly support those initiatives such as IT, loans and grants, and our legal team. The budget also includes approximately $52.5 million for non-personal services expenses, which will support occupancy costs, consultants, IT enhancements and communication, insurance, office services, and staff professional development. Also included is subsidiary operating support of $6 million, which includes the operating expenses of Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation of $1.4 million, Harlem Community Development Corporation of $3.7 million, Queens West Development Corporation of $0.1 million, and USA Niagara Development Corporation of $0.8 million. These and other subsidiary operating and capital budgets have been presented separately to the respective board members. Director approval is also requested for the corporation's fiscal year 23-24 non-programmatic capital expense authorization totaling approximately $13.1 million. This authorization includes support to move ESD applications and servers to the cloud to enhance ESD's remote access and communication capabilities in a secure environment. Funding to invest in technology to enhance and broaden the IT infrastructure to increase network speed, security, business continuity, and disaster recovery capabilities. The development and support of applications and systems in response to ESD's priority programs and initiatives. Expenses related to the relocation, renovation, build-out of regional offices. Support of the expanded reporting requirements of the Database of Economic Incentives. And support for the entity-wide Microsoft Dynamics Customer Relationship Management System and our PeopleSoft Financial Management System. If any changes are required to the ESD budget after the adoption of the state's fiscal 23-24 budget or any other time during the fiscal year, they will be brought to the board for approval. The details of the proposed 23-24 ESD operating budget, including certain subsidiary operating support, and the annual non-programmatic capital expense authorization are attached for your review. Immediately preceding this meeting, earlier this morning, the ESD Audit and Budget Committee reviewed the budget and recommends it for further approval by the full ESD Board. Thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Kathleen. Yes, as Kathleen just mentioned, Michael Benson and myself with Hope just participated in the audit committee, and we got down into the weeds a little bit more. But we're fine with it. And do any other board members have any questions for Kathleen? No. So since Benson and Michael were in the meeting, we'll take that as a motion and a second. And so any other comments or revisions? Or comments or questions, I should say? Nope, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? The budget is approved. Thank you, Kathy. Next up, we have Rebecca Pellegrini. She's our manager for finance and administration, and she has a Moynihan Station update for us.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Board. I'm Rebecca Pellegrini. I am the Executive Director for Moynihan Train Hall, and today I'm presenting the Moynihan Station Civic and Land Use Improvement Project budget proposals for both operating and capital budgets in support of Moynihan Train Hall for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024. Authorization is being requested for an operating budget of $408,360 for personal and non-personal services, as well as a request for authorization of the Moynihan capital budget in the amount of $3,521,616. The budget for the upcoming fiscal year reflects a significant reduction for both operating and capital budgets due to the status of the construction project, which achieved final completion over this past fiscal year. The budget for fiscal year 2023 through 2024 reflects a transfer from the construction phase to ESD's ongoing role with the James A. Farley Condominium, which is the governing entity of the completed train hall, as well as costs related to the remaining ESD assets and obligations associated with New York State's role as the owner of the train hall facility. With that, we are requesting authorization for the operating and capital budgets, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Rebecca. So this has nothing to do with the Penn Station project. This all has to do with the Moynihan Station project, correct?
Yes,
Got
correct.
it,
The
because we
the operations phase of Moynihan Train Hall, that's what this is.
Got it. Good. We know there's some issues with the other project. We're waiting for more guidance and clarification on what changes may be made to that. So does anybody have any questions for Rebecca on the Moynihan Station budget, operating capital budget? There's no comments from the public either. Entertain a motion by Hilda, seconded by John. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None?
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Ray Salabarios, is Ray here, or is he on the line? Oh, there he is. Hey, Ray. Sorry.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, board members.
I'm so sorry. We do need to take a pause on the meeting for a moment. We're having a technical issue, so if we could just take a pause for 2 minutes.
Do we have to redo what we just did?
No, I think that will be okay, but we should take a pause, and if it doesn't get resolved, we can continue and we'll just record it and
Got it.
post it up, but
Okay.
just wait for 1 minute.
All right, very good. Did it have anything to do with the protesters?
Any problems today will be
Hear
associated
from you.
Glad I want to be here, so. Just kidding.
No, I did see the TV go on.
Yeah, I did.
I was wondering.
Yes.
Oh, it's a break. Transitional.
You know what, I'm gonna get a refill here, you know?
Knew you might as well.
This morning, I tried transitions.
Can't get an ID.
I work on
Very good.
screens and my desk. I
So, yeah, things are just crazy.
Oh, wow.
I did it through a month.
When do you see leveling?
Yeah, I don't use the glasses during, when I look at the screen, I don't need the glasses. I just.
That one to do what you're saying.
That's what the doctor was saying to me since you have worked in so many different areas.
And the IG's office good at
These are never
that?
gonna
The IG's office.
constantly
Switching. This works for me when I'm reading, but if I'm on the front.
Being responsive and like.
see, I can't see that well.
Their money.
I was told to stick around.
So there's a to the building.
I don't want to do mine. It's very lengthy. That's a really
Crazy, thanks
So,
to the
yeah,
guys.
deals that look good, a lot of them
It's very concise.
don't look as good as they
Studying
do.
Robert
Of course, it's more.
couple of years.
So,
We are.
we see the whole 2023 being.
Really?
No, they're not.
Oh, he's joking. Yeah, good. I was.
Russia, all of the natural.
So I don't have any problem.
Right? So, this is,
Historically, they're still pretty good. Yeah, I remember when I first started, it was more closer to 10%.
Well, at least that guarantees us.
We're good? Yeah, you're right. So historically, yeah.
No, presentation of these assets.
Yes. Yes.
2%. Free money. Yeah, not anymore. We're not gonna see.
Don't worry.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
That's right. I think you're about to be on deck. Yeah, I think they're back on.
Yeah. It's gonna be bumpy.
Yeah, because the other folks don't want to. Oh, really? Hey, I respect that. Sorry.
Oh, that's good. Got it. We're good. Okay, our technical difficulties are or have been resolved. We're going to continue with the meeting. Is that correct?
You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to continue with the meeting. Ray Salabarios, Senior VP, Division of Small Business and Capital Assets.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, board members. The New York Forward Loan Fund 2 will use federally allocated state small business credit initiative funds to provide $45 million in lending capital that we match by private capital to support lending to targeted small businesses and not-for-profit entities. The program will give socially and economically disadvantaged individual-owned businesses increased access to affordable and flexible capital. On May 29, 2020, the Empire State Development Board of Directors approved a grant of up to $15 million to fund a loan loss reserve account that supported a $100 million New York Forward Loan Fund. That loan fund was underwritten by 5 participating community development financial institutions. The creation of this loan loss reserve was an integral part of New York's COVID-19 recovery effort. It enabled the New York Forward Loan Fund to offer working capital loans to 1,719 small businesses, nonprofits, and small residential landlords that have been impacted by COVID-19. The total amount in loans approved was in excess of $96 million. For New York Forward Loan Fund 2, ESD will provide direct lending capital of $45 million to leverage private capital that will support and increase CDFI lending to targeted small businesses and not-for-profits. The term loans will range from 36 to 60 months and generally be up to $150,000. The loan proceeds will be used for working capital, including payroll, operating and emergency maintenance, property taxes, utilities, rents, and supplies. Refinancing of existing loan from a CDFI is not permitted in the program. The product terms are standardized across the program. There is no negotiation of terms between the originating lender and the potential borrower. Collateral will be taken if the CDFI believes that it is commercially reasonable to do so. Such determination may consider other existing obligations of the borrower, the value of the potential collateral, and the expense of perfecting such collateral. The overall goal of the program is to offer affordable credit to small businesses while gaining as much private leverage as possible from the state Small Business Credit Initiative dollars. We're going to market and the performance track and record along the way. The following core strategic objectives drives the program's design. We aim to provide quality, flexible, and affordable loan products for small businesses through a trusted network of community lenders to drive income and wealth generation for low-income and historically disinvested communities. Prioritize relationships building between CDFIs and their clients through ongoing servicing that is granted solely to the originating CDFI in a legal structure that protects the small businesses from any non-mission aligned creditors. We plan to support sustainable growth for CDFI partners by providing programs that combine access to capital, affordable liquidity, and a centralized source of lead generation, simple and integrated technology solutions, and unit economics that can support their operations. We're going to provide technical and operational support where needed, either through direct engagement or peer lending. And finally, we're going to bring financial structure to businesses of private capital markets to ensure the availability and matching of legal funds throughout the program. The directors are requested to make findings and determinations pursuant to Section 10G of the Act, authorize the implementation of and administration of New York Forward Loan Fund 2, authorize the making of New York Forward Loan Fund 2 loans, and authorize the taking of related actions. Thank you, and I will answer any questions.
I have a question.
Hilda?
How much and where do businesses can apply for that money and how much?
Oh, the maximum loan amount is $150,000.
I'm sorry, yes.
Businesses throughout the state can apply. It's an online process. We've refined the process. They made it a lot more user-friendly. That's why we expect the additional participation throughout the state.
I have a follow-up question. I'm sorry,
No,
Rafa.
it's fine.
So how long does it take?
Well, we
The
expect
whole process?
we expect to be okay. We expect to be up and running by May. The entire loan process, because of the nature of the small business that we're working with, it'll probably be 30 days, the average for someone to
Okay.
get an approval.
Thank you.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Thanks.
And we made some enhancement to the portal to increase the number of applications that we can follow through with.
And these are just MWBEs?
No, they are
Approved.
socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, which includes businesses that are located in distressed communities. So it's not a race-based initiative.
Okay.
And Ray, I know you walked us through it, but just so I'm clear, so it's a $90 million program. 45 million is federal funds.
Right.
Coming through the
Through
feds to ESD.
Yes.
And then 45 million is private equity for the other?
It's private capital coming from a warehouse loan. And we expect to revolve that credit and increase it. So we started with 90 million, but the goal is to get to 300 million over a 10-year program.
Right. But the actual institutions that will issue the loans will be either CDFIs or small lenders in these communities.
There will be CDFIs only.
CDFIs only. Got it. And so it's no state monies or no ESD monies. We are just being sort of the organizer of it and the pass-through of the federal funds?
Well, the SSBCI was granted to ESD, to New York State, so we use that money as our capital. So
Oh, I see.
technically, it is ESD money now.
Got it. Got it. All right. Any other questions?
Can sole proprietor apply?
Yes.
What was that, John?
Sole proprietor.
Got it. Not-for-profits too?
Yes.
Great. Well, and we got to promote this and advertise it, or
We are-
let
we
all
are
the REDCs know about it so they promote it in their communities?
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. That's part of the plan.
All right. Any other comments, questions for Ray? We have no comments from the public on this. I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Okay, now we have our, what we're referring to as our spotlight presentations, which have been very well received. And today we have Elizabeth Luskin. She's our EVP for Small Business and Technology, and she is going to report on the State Small Business Credit Initiative progress.
Small H-A-I-R-M-A-N, 0.
No, I think it's 01. That's what I heard yesterday. No, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Do we have a screen working, or do we still have issues?
Having problems.
There we go. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Okay.
So what she's going to say, what Ray just presented is part of this, so it'll all tie together.
What Ray does.
But they can't see it.
is one of the programs that she's reported.
I think you have to open it up on your laptop.
It is. Press escape. Press escape.
I think you're supposed to unplug it and plug it in.
Whoever's laughing, please take your phone.
Can we blame this on the protesters, too?
Absolutely.
We can blame it all.
Absolutely.
As far as I'm concerned.
There we go. Thank you. Good morning. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
It was up before. So I'm Liz Luskin. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Division of Small Business and Technology Development, as you know. 4 of the 5 subdivisions of SBDT have been involved in working on SSBCI, and that includes capital access, venture, NYSTAR, and entrepreneur development. And as promised previously, we are back with a progress update on the rollout of the programs, the SSBCI programs that the board has approved. Just as a reminder, President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan Act in March of '21, which included $10 billion to fund the State Small Business Credit Initiative. This is managed by the U.S. Department of Treasury, and the SSBCI funds programs for small business, including socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, as Ray just mentioned, own businesses, and very small businesses, to recover from the economic effects of COVID-19. Governor Hochul designated Empire State Development to apply for New York State's allocated funds and to implement the programs under SSBCI. And last summer, Treasury approved our final application and provided an allocation agreement, which the ESD board approved our executing. Our total expected allocation under this program is $501.6 million, split into 3
categories. The main allocation of $377 million for our debt and equity programs, an additional 81.2 focused for SETI businesses in those programs, and then a bonus if we meet our goals of 43.4 for an additional SETI incentive. As a reminder, this is a 10-year program, which is we will leverage 10 times over all the programs for a total economic impact of $5 billion across the state. We've received our initial tranche of $151 million. We will receive 2 other tranches, assuming we meet our goals and deploying the prior tranche and meeting our SETI goals. And if we do all of that, the total amounts for those will be $172 million and $174 million. As we are funding programs with this money per the requirements that provide capital access, loan guarantees, loan participation, collateral support, and venture capital per the statute. We have broken this into 10 programs. 6 of them are on the debt side, totaling $282 million, managed by Ray and the Capital Access team. There are 4 equity programs, 3 managed by New York Ventures and 1 by the NYSTAR team. And while these programs support all qualifying businesses, they do have, as mentioned, a specific focus on SETI and very small businesses, which is less than 10 employees. All program information, including what I'm going to share with you, is on our website, and you can sign up for updates and program on the programs as they continue to roll out. But also, I will mention lists of lenders and application portals. All of those things are available on the ESD website. So we're going to go through quickly each of the programs.
No.
Okay.
I did. I closed everything down and I keep going back in. I closed it down.
Put your phone on mute.
Back in.
We once again ask, shelter in place.
So I go down here.
Because it is absolutely necessary to leave the building.
So that's a shelter in space, but I think we were hearing something else.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay. So I'm going to go quickly through all 10 programs. First, the 6 debt programs. So the first is the Capital Projects Loan Fund, which provides direct loans for the growth of manufacturing and other eligible businesses by financing, acquiring, and renovating existing buildings or constructing new ones, or for the purchase of machinery and equipment. Various economic development projects across New York State are being evaluated by the Capital Access team, and they will make project financing awards on appropriate projects on a rolling basis and bring them in for approval. Next, the Small Business Revolving Loan Fund provides shorter-term microloans and loans typically under $250,000 to address inequitable capital access for new companies, underbanked communities, and small businesses. 16 lenders will be participating in the program, and the program, all the program funding is currently committed. Companies can apply for loans starting at the end of April. The New York Forward Loan Fund, thank you very much for just now approving that. This provides flexible low-interest loans for small businesses of up to $150,000, underwritten by 5 originating CDFIs, as Ray mentioned. We're working with Calvert Small Business to finalize the agreement with the CDFIs and get the portal up, which, as Ray mentioned, should be up and running by May 2023 for businesses to apply. The Capital Access Program provides matching funds to financial institutions for loan loss reserves as an incentive to increase small business lending in New York State. 9 lenders have already signed up to participate.
Nope,
and
still not streaming.
6 more are in process. The program is now open to borrowers who apply to lenders that are listed on the ESD website. I just want to remind everyone that all these programs now have been approved by the board over the course of the last few months. Our next 2 programs are particularly related to contractors doing business on government projects. So the Contractor Financing Revolving Loan Fund provides funding by participating lenders to contractors in need of working capital to work on federal, state, and local government-related contracts. Contractors can now apply to our current list of 6 lenders. And also our bonding guarantee program provides financial assistance to help contractors secure surety bonding to be able to bid on government-related capital projects. One company has already signed up for the program agreements and to begin working with contractors, and we are working on signing up 2 additional ones. The program is now open for contractors to apply who are in need of bonding. Moving on now to our equity programs. You did hear about these with Jennifer Teagan's spotlight presentation on New York Ventures at last month's board meeting. But just to remind everyone, there are 4. The first 2 programs are focused on funding the funders of the ecosystem, and the next 2 are direct equity investments in companies. First, we have the Emerging and Regional Partner Program Fund. This is where we will be investing in diverse fund managers or with managers who will use the funds to invest in areas of New York State where venture capital is less readily available. We are currently interviewing a strong pool of applicants, and this is a rolling application. The first set of recommendations should be to the board by the end of the second quarter. Next, we have our Community and Regional Partner Program Fund. This one is managed by NYSTAR. We are providing funding for accelerators or other similar mentor-based programs to provide equity investments in high-growth New York State companies that are participating in those accelerator programs. Prospective programs apply via an RFA on our website, and NYSTAR conducts a selection process, and this application is also monthly enrolling. We had 8 applicants so far, 5 are in the second stage of review, and we're expecting to present our first awards by the April ESD board meeting. Next, the 2 direct investments. Again, as you heard last month, we are putting additional funding into our New York Innovation Venture Capital Fund, which focuses on seed to Series B, $250,000 to about $3 million dollar investments, and the ventures team will make their first recommendations by Q2 to the board there. And we also have launched our extremely popular pre-seed and seed matching fund. This is for equity investments of under $250,000 in venture-backable startup companies at the earliest stage of their development. It's a competitive application process, and applicants are evaluated to assess the likelihood of their venture scalability. We've had over 1,000 inbound requests, and the pre-seed webpage has also been the #1 visited page on the ESD website this year. The team is currently evaluating over 300 applications and will make the first recommendations for the fund by the end of Q2. So all of this information is on the ESD website, as I mentioned. Sorry, I just lost my page there. Oh dear, what happened there? There we go. There's a detailed information on each program, on how to apply, the participating lenders, and so on. As mentioned, you can also sign up for updates on programs as additional lenders are added or portals open up. We also, to help businesses, funds, and lenders find the programs most suited to them and what they're looking for help with the help of the marketing department, we created a widget tool with just a few easy questions. This is similar to what was created for the COVID-19 relief programs. We are working very hard to get the word out in a variety of ways, and happy to share that the SSBCI flyer was just translated into the 12 most commonly requested languages. I want to give an enormous thank you to the Capital Access, Venture, NYSTAR, and Entrepreneur Development teams for their dedicated, creative, and diligent work in securing these funds and developing and implementing this suite of programs. And thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Great. Thank you so much, Liz. These 10 programs, do we, as we try to promote and market them and educate people on them, do we also share that information with all the lenders as they are determining the creditworthiness of their applicants, and do we get them trying to encourage their applicants to participate in our programs too?
Yes, we both do. We do education with those we work directly with, but we also work with. Here, I'll just close. If we need a page, I'll go back. But we work with.
Thank you. I was going to get my sunglasses out.
That's okay. Sorry. We also work with associations of lenders of. Both the community development, financial institutions, the banking association, small banking association. So we are working across all kinds of lenders to make sure that people are aware of this. We're also working with chambers, the regional offices, our entrepreneur assistance centers, every conference we can go to, and sharing this information very widely and doing webinars with groups that require specific, more detailed information on the kinds of programs that they would be helping people interact with.
And all 10 programs are being financed, again, through federal funds that we are in the process of receiving, as you said, the first tranche, hopefully more to come.
Yes, that is the 501, but as Ray mentioned, and I mentioned, we leverage that money with matching capital from private institutions or with other investors in the equity investments. So that $500 million over the 10 years will translate into $5 billion.
Right.
And also, we revolve a lot of these funds, so we continue to lend them multiple times.
And are they all for small businesses? And how do we describe a small business? Through amount of employees or revenues or both?
Both. It depends on the program.
No, I know the federal government,
Yeah.
during the COVID, when they were giving out the PPP loans, they describe a small business as 500 or, I know in most of the communities throughout the state, we view small businesses as something a lot smaller.
Right. 100 and smaller is often used. For some of the, we have a special incentive to also focus on very small businesses, so that's 10 and under.
Got it.
Sorry, under 10. So the hope is to focus as much as possible on very small businesses and socially and economically disadvantaged individual-owned businesses, which is both geographic economic disadvantage as well as your personal characteristics. But the programs are open to all small businesses.
Great. Any other questions? Phyllis?
I just want to mention, thanks to Ray, and we have a small business technical assistant seminar next week. And Ray is sending someone to do a presentation about the program. So.
Great to hear.
Great.
And that's it. It's getting the word out and promoting these. And do we feel confident we're going to be able to move all the money? That's not going to be an issue?
Well, the need is certainly there, right?
Right.
And we're doing everything possible to make the application processes as simple and easy as possible, and we will continue to aggressively promote, but yes, we will.
Great.
We don't want to leave any money on the table.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Listen, that was great, and we appreciate you and your staff and the presentation. So let's move on with the agenda. We now continue with the regional project section, and we have Central New York region up first with James Fail.
Mr. Chair, could I?
Yes, Rob?
I have a conflict with the next two items, and given the scale of the first one, I'm going to step out.
Very good, Rob, thank you. And let the record reflect Rob's recusal and abstention from the next two items. And is James on the phone with us, or is?
I am.
James, how are you?
Good morning.
The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. The board's being asked to approve a little over $16.6 million grant to Center State CEO on a $24.7 million project. The project involves the renovations, purchase of furniture and equipment, and soft costs to expand and upgrade the Tech Garden, which is a business incubator in the Central New York region. This was a round one regional council priority project. Take any questions?
Any questions for James on the first URI grant to Center State and the Tech Garden? No? If not, I will move it, seconded by Hilda. I was going to say that, Hilda, but I'm sorry. The protesters got me all. So, seconded by Hilda, and no comments from the public on this. So, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. That motion carries. James, next.
I actually believe Amber Engel is gonna-
Amber Rangel, our VP and Director of Workforce Development. Listen, I'm usually good for screwing up at least 3 things every meeting.
You
So
got 2
I'm now
already.
done 2, so, you'll have to cut me slack for 1 more coming up soon.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Directors. The Directors are being requested to approve the release of funding for the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's Pay for Performance Capacity Building Award to Center State Corporation for Economic Opportunity, Center State CEO, in the amount of $264,000 to support the Syracuse Build Pre-Apprenticeship Program. This is the first selected project of ESD's Office of Strategic Workforce Development grant programs to be presented to the board. Our office launched these programs last October as part of Governor Hochul's $350 million investment in workforce development enacted in the fiscal year 2023 budget. OSWD has $150 million in grant funding for 2 program tracks, a $35 million workforce capital grant program, and a $115 million pay for performance grant program that has an operating grant program track and an achievement-based capacity building awards that are data and metrics driven. Center State CEO applied for a pay for performance capacity building award through round 1 of the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's grant funding. Based on the recommendations of the office and the ESD Commissioner, an incentive proposal was signed, agreeing to provide the $264,000 in funding. This amount was calculated based on the number of past successful placements into good jobs through the applicable workforce development training program, Syracuse Build. The funding will be used to expand existing construction-related training programs and provide wraparound services to improve access for and outcomes of the training participants. Syracuse Build is a city initiative to prepare residents for careers in the building trades and will increase access, capacity, and programming so that diverse Syracuse residents can enter good-paying construction careers. Syracuse Build will expand capacity and training programs that are high in demand for major public-private infrastructure and economic development projects. Syracuse Build's training supports the union building trades, particularly electricians and plumbers and pipe fitters. Syracuse Build will work with the community-based organizations, training providers, and potential employers to identify and engage City of Syracuse and Onondaga County residents from historically marginalized communities, women's and veterans, along career pathways in construction-related fields. Syracuse Build staff will provide support services, work experiences, on-the-job training, and serve as a direct entry program into the New York State Department of Labor Registered Apprenticeship Program. We are recommending that the board authorize the release of the funds for Center State CEO to support the expansion of the Syracuse Build program, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Amber. Any questions for Amber? We have no questions from the public, no comments from the public on this matter. So I'll entertain a motion by Michael, second by John. Note Rob's recusal again. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion is approved. You let Rob come back into the meeting. Next up is Mohawk Valley Region. We have Allison Madmoon, and she's our Regional Director for the Mohawk Valley Region.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning. The directors are being asked to approve a Round 3 Regional Council capital grant of $500,000 to be used as a portion of the cost to construct a municipal water supply and distribution system in the south side area of the town of Oneonta. In 2013, the New York State Department of Health performed water testing in the town of Oneonta, and it was determined that the water was not safe to drink, affecting businesses and residences along the New York State Route 23 corridor. The town of Oneonta applied for and was awarded a $500,000 grant to construct 2 water supply wells and a 20-foot by 24-foot well control building to house a 500,000-gallon water storage tank. The town also installed approximately 37,000 linear feet of piping, which will provide clean drinking water to both residential and commercial properties along the New York State Route 23. This water infrastructure project was essential for the town of Oneonta to attract additional business investment. The total budget for this project is $9.4 million, and ESD's participation in the project is 5% of project costs, or $500,000. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Allison. I just had a question, a clarification. On the face of it, it seems like this would be a perfect project for DEC or EFC or EPA to fund, but we're funding it through the REDC. But so can you make the business or the economic development connection clearer for us?
Sure. So this project was essential for them to attract additional business investment along Route 23. They needed to upgrade these systems, and so now we do have additional infrastructure monies available in New York State, but back in 2013, ESD was an available resource for them, and the REDC prioritized the project because the infrastructure project was essential to attract additional business investment.
Got it. Thank you. No, I think investments in both water, sewer are critical as we're trying to help our downtowns and communities grow or expand. So thanks for that clarification. Any other questions for Allison? We don't have any comments from the public today, so I'll entertain a motion by Hilda, a second by Benson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Let's move on to the Southern Tier. We have Rob Sweet. He's our Regional Director for the Southern Tier.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Board Directors. For your consideration is a $1 million Southern Tier Upstate Revival Initiative grant that will help facilitate the construction of a multi-story mixed-use building in College Town in the city of Ithaca. College Town is a very dense, very congested area that sits between the city's downtown and immediately adjacent to the campus. By doing so, it will put the property, which currently has a fire station, back on the tax rolls and increase economic development activity within that part of the city.
Rob, did we lose you, or are you done?
No, I'm here. I'm done. I made it brief. I know I see that you have an ambitious agenda, and you're constantly getting notifications from below. So I wanted to make it brief.
Right, good. No, you just scared us for a minute.
No.
Yeah, very good. And so, Rob, the mixed-use building. So it's both residential and commercial.
Correct. That's pretty characteristic of development in College Town. The first floor is a non-residential use, either a commercial business of some sort, retail, or some kind of service, and the upper stories are residential. Right. Correct.
And our monies goes for the non-residential components of the project. Is that how it works?
Actually, that's why I use the term facilitation. Our $1 million is to pay for the fire station that's being relocated. That parcel or that site is where the fire station is now. The $1 million is going in to build the new fire station. That's about $8.4 million. We constitute about 12% of the funding stream.
So the old fire station is what's being repurposed for a mixed-use development.
Well, it's actually going to be demolished. Because it's a special. Fire stations are special purpose buildings, Chairman, and they don't lend themselves always to adaptive reuse. So they're going to put a new building there, and then the new fire station, which is approximately 3 blocks from the existing fire station, will be built. And there's a public and health safety aspect to this. Presently, College Town is so dense and so congested with both pedestrians and vehicles. Response times out of the existing fire station has been affected. By moving it 3 blocks away, that will improve. And not only will there not be a diminution of service, there'll be an improvement of service because it's on a corner of 2 streets without far less congestion, so they can get the emergency vehicles out more quickly.
Got it. Thanks, Rob, for the clarification. Anybody else have any questions for Rob? No, we have no questions from the public either. We'll take a motion by Rob, seconded by John. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Next up, we'll go to the Mid-Hudson region with Heidi Knobloch. And was Heidi here, or is she on the phone?
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard your name before.
That was your third mistake, Chairman.
I'm sorry.
That was your third mistake. Thank you, Chairman Long. Good morning, directors.
Thanks for highlighting.
Today, I'm requesting that the directors authorize a grant of $765,000 to support the New York Business Plan Competition, also known as the NYBPC, which is run by the Capital Foundation of New York. The $765,000 grant, which will be distributed over 5 years, will be used for working capital costs and awards to student entrepreneurs. There is no match requirement for these funds. The Capital Foundation of New York was formed in 2018 as a 501c3 not-for-profit educational arm of Upstate Capital Association of New York. The Capital Foundation's mission is to advance entrepreneurship across New York, and the NYBBC is the foundation's largest program. The NYBPC is the annual intercollegiate entrepreneurship competition. Students enrolled in colleges and graduate schools and post-secondary education programs are invited to compete with their entrepreneurial ventures. The competition includes teams from every region of New York and has been in operation since 2010, has served more than 6,000 students, and helped launch hundreds of ventures. In the past, NYSTAR and New York Ventures have each supported the NYBPC on an ad hoc basis. The total yearly support varied from year to year, and the lack of consistent working capital required the organizers of this event to focus their attention on finding working capital and securing prize money for awards for the students, and place the fundraising burden on the NYBPC. This burden made it difficult for the NYBPC to continue operations and has been taxing on the organizers. It's anticipated that every year more than 2,000 students will compete in this competition. Supporting this program will help the Capital Foundation of New York build entrepreneurial mindsets and skills through experiential learning, facilitate building personal networks between participants and the broader business community, and help launch new ventures through the annual intercollegiate entrepreneurship competition. The NYBBC provides opportunities for students enrolled at colleges and universities across New York to gain entrepreneurial skills and compete on their ingenuity, first on campus, then in their region, and then for the top teams in the statewide final competition. And to support the NYBBC, I'm requesting that the directors authorize the proposed $765,000 grant. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Thank you, Heidi. Any questions for Heidi? Hearing none, I will move it. Michael seconds it. We have no comments from the public. Everybody, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Heidi. Let's move on to the New York City region. We got Joe Tazwell with us here today. Joe, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, directors. The directors are requested to approve a $1.375 million grant for the New York City Department of Small Business Services to be used for a portion of the $7.8 million cost to make infrastructure improvements for vehicular access to and from the Holland Hook Marine Terminal facility and other major freight-related sites, including the Matrix Global Logistics Park, located on Staten Island's North Shore. This project was designated as a New York City Regional Council Priority Project in REDC Round 6, as it is in alignment with regional strategies to increase global trade and to support the competitiveness of the Holland Hook Marine Terminal. The North Shore of Staten Island is home to several major freight-related sites, including the Holland Hook Marine Terminal, New York State's largest gateway for international trade, and a facility size of 187 acres and 6 container cranes. The Matrix Global Logistics Park, which is home to Amazon's fulfillment operations in the New York City area. Each site is critical in maintaining New York City's competitive advantage in port logistics and generating hundreds of good-paying jobs. Also, each site generates significant truck traffic, which has increased 55% between 2010 and 2020. This traffic converges at Forest Avenue to gain access to and from the Staten Island Expressway. In 2015, the City of New York conceived of the Holland Hook Access Improvements Project to ensure more efficient truck flow at this pinch point. The project includes converting Forest Avenue from a 2-lane northbound street into a 4-lane one-way northbound street. The expanded street will include physical separation via concrete median barrier in the center of the street and adjacent to a shared use path. Additionally, off and on ramps connecting Gulf Avenue and the Goethals Road north to Staten Island Expressway will be widened. Lastly, a new traffic signal, striping, signing, underdeck lighting, and other fixtures will be added to the streets to assist in wayfinding and safe traffic operation. The project will improve Holland Hook Marine Terminal's bound traffic movements, reduce traffic backups at the Goethals Bridge in both directions, and enhance safety along the Forest Avenue between Gulf Avenue and Goethals Road. The New York City Economic Development Corporation has been managing the project since 2016. Construction began in August 2019 and is expected to be substantially completed in April 2023. Should I go to the next project, or?
I think we have to take them separately in vote, so we'll stop here.
Okay.
And just ask, sounds like a great project, Joe. Any questions for Joe on the Staten Island project? Okay, we don't have any comments from the public. So I'll move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Joe is going to give a next update on a project in Jamaica, and Hope Knight is
I'm recusing.
going to recuse herself. You stepping out? No. Nope. And let the record reflect Hope not participating in this vote. Joe?
Great. For the second item, the directors are requested to approve a $1.65 million grant for Greater Jamaica Development Corporation to be used for a portion of the $11.5 million cost of constructing and equipping an 18,000 square foot workspace and training facility for capacity for 75 to 100 local entrepreneurs and professionals. The facility, called Greater Nexus, is located in the Moda Building in downtown Jamaica, Queens, the address of which is 89-19 Parsons Boulevard. This is one of 7 projects awarded funding from the first round of the $10 million Downtown Revitalization Initiative, which was focused on downtown Jamaica. Founded in 1967, Greater Jamaica Development was one of the nation's first community development corporations and has become a model for economic transformation. Greater Jamaica Development owns and operates several commercial projects, including small office facilities, a food market, and a public parking system serving downtown Jamaica. The organization is also involved with project design, pre-development planning, industrial retention, and commercial revitalization, as well as a host of programs and undertakings designed to improve the quality of life and revitalize Jamaica. With renovations nearly complete, Greater Nexus is open for use with many of the monthly office rentals near capacity. Amenities of the shared workspace include monthly access to private offices of various sizes from 1 to 5 people, 24 cubicles, and 31 floating seats. Conference and meeting rooms, a large modular training space for events and workshops with innovative equipment and technology. Greater Nexus also offers a podcast room with state-of-the-art equipment, wellness rooms, soundproof phone booths, a virtual address, and mailbox options. Members will be offered flexible month-to-month membership packages in a commuter-friendly location. The facility will also benefit the community by hosting training events, after-school activities. The facility has already hosted 40 community events since last July. The project was completed in February. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions? No comments from the public either. I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Joseph. Note Hope's recusal on that last vote. Head to the Long Island region. We have Barry Greenspan. He's the Economic Development Program Administrator for the Long Island region.
Thank you. Good morning, Kevin, Hope, and Board of Directors. You're being asked today to approve a $275,000 grant for Long Island University. LIU is one of Long Island's largest private universities located in Brookville on Nassau County's North Shore. LIU also has a campus in Brooklyn. LIU has a very strong school of health professionals and nursing, and they've been critical in helping the region and the state solve a severe shortage of nursing and health professionals. In 2019, round 9, LIU approached ESD for help to expand a health professional teaching and lab learning space on the Brookville campus. They also wanted to expand an imaging teaching laboratory. The total project cost was approximately $1,350,000, and the CFA request of $275,000 was ranked and scored highly by the council and was approved. The project aligns very strongly with the Long Island Regional Economic Development Workforce Strategy to train more students for careers in healthcare. It's worth noting that the Regional Council and ESD, to advance this workforce strategy, has funded similar nursing teaching simulation labs at both Hofstra and NYU Langone's Winthrop Research Facility in Mineola. These workforce and education type of simulation labs provide students with real hospital settings where they can learn clinical skills. The total of the two LIU laboratories is approximately 3,300 square feet. They are complete and fully operational. You will see photos of the lab in your board materials. The $1,357,000 has been spent, and we're requesting the board's approval to disperse the ESD $275,000 grant to LIU. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. Any questions for Barry? None? There's no public comments. So I will move it. Hilda seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? The motion carries. Thank you, Barry. Let's move on to the Market New York Grant Program. We have Kelly Baccarizzo, and she's our Economic Development Program Specialist in the Tourism Department.
Yes. Good morning, Chairman, and to the board. The Market New York Tourism Grant has one project for the board's consideration today. Integrated Community Alternatives Network, Inc., also known as ICANN, and originally named Kids Oneida, is a central New York-based not-for-profit care management agency with a mission of empowering individuals and families, in part through visitation to their attraction, the Utica Children's Museum, the only museum in the country to be adopted by NASA. The organization that manages Utica Children's Museum was awarded a tourism capital grant of $627,600 in March 2019 under the Round 8 of the Regional Economic Development Council. ICANN used the award to fund a portion of the cost to renovate and construct a new operating facility for the Utica Children's Museum. The project has now been completed. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on the project.
Any questions for Kelly? Hearing none. There are no comments from the public. I will move it. Michael seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the At the Direction of Projects. We have Simone Bethune, ESD Senior Project Manager and Coordinator of Projects for Loans and Grants.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning to everyone. My name is Simone Bethune, and I'm a Senior Project Manager with Loans and Grants. As a reminder, At the Direction of Grants refer to those commitments listed in the New York State budget that enhance the state's communities through cultural, educational, research, and development, and civic organizations. These projects originate from the Governor or the New York State Assembly or Senate, and ESD is named to administer the funding. ESD does not select the recipients of funding. Today, the directors are being asked to modify a previously approved $15 million grant for an increase of $4 million to Council on the Environment, Incorporated, doing business as Grow NYC. In fiscal year 2016-17, an allocation of $15 million was made to Grow NYC from the New York Works Empire State Economic Development Fund to be used for a portion of the cost to construct the New York State Regional Food Hub, formerly known as Green Market Regional Food Hub in the Hunts Point neighborhood of the Bronx. The building, which measures 60,000 square feet, comprises a cold storage facility built to the highest standard of food safety on a 135,000 square foot lot. This commitment was the culmination of the 2014 New York State and New York City Regional Food Hub Task Force's recommendation to boost production and consumption of New York State-grown fresh and value-added food while helping smaller producers reach local downstate markets. On July 20th, 2017, ESD directors approved $1,632,000 of the $15 million award for costs associated with design and planning of the food hub. And on August 20th, 2020, directors approved the remaining $13,368,000 of the original $15 million grant. In May 2022, an additional $4 million was suballocated under the Department of Agriculture and Markets via the Executive Chamber to cover unforeseen electrical costs necessary to complete the project. The additional $4 million being requested for approval at this meeting will bring New York State's total assistance to $19 million, leveraging an approximately $44 million total project cost. When completed, the hub will allow Grow NYC to substantially increase the amount of produce it delivers to neighborhoods that need it most and at prices residents can afford. Construction began in April 2021 and is expected to be complete in August 2023. As of February 2023, the base building is complete and the interior fit-out is underway. And I can take any questions.
Great. And Simone, both the original $15 million and the $4 million were both at the direction of awards?
No, the original 15 million was actually discretionary, but the 4 million is coming.
The 4 million is at the direction of?
Allocation. Yeah, that's right.
Got it, thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Simone? We have no comments from the public on this item. I will move it. Hilda seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Simone.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the statewide entrepreneurship assistance centers. We have Martha Otero, Vice President, Entrepreneur Development and Operations.
I have to recuse myself.
Oops, I'm sorry?
Recuse myself.
Okay, let the record reflect that Hilda is recusing herself from this vote.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Directors. ESD staff is requesting the directors to approve amending the Entrepreneurship Assistance Centers Program eligibility matching requirement, reducing it from 100% to 20% of an Entrepreneurship Assistance Center annual allocation, and for the match contribution to be in the form of 10% cash and 10% in kind. This change will improve the program by supporting the range of providers needed to serve the entrepreneurs and small businesses of New York State. The Entrepreneurship Assistance Center program provides business training, one-on-one counseling, and technical assistance in multiple languages to encourage the formation of new businesses and strengthen the operations of existing businesses during the early stages of development. The Omnibus Economic Development Law of 1987, Chapter 839, Part 41, established the application process for the program and was most recently amended in 2019. The section pertaining to the program budget states, a program budget including matching funds, in kind and otherwise, to be provided by the applicant. Historically, ESD staff has interpreted this provision to require the EACs to provide matching funds at various levels, and for over 15 years on a one-to-one basis, with 50% of the form in the form of cash and 50% in kind for a 100% match. This current match requirement places a fundraising burden upon the EACs. It has resulted in the loss of strong operators, discouraged qualified participants from renewing, and new entrants from applying, and threatens to cause others to leave the network. Furthermore, the 100% match requirement undermines the ability of smaller but strategically important organizations to partner with ESD to ensure the EACs effectively service entrepreneurs and small business owners throughout the state, especially under especially under-resourced communities. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Martha. Any questions for Martha? No? We have no comments from the public, so I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Let the record reflect Hilda recused herself from this vote. Now have the Life Sciences Initiative Fund, and I see Maria Mitchell in the room. She's our Senior VP for Life Sciences.
Thanks very much, Chairman and Directors. We are seeking the Director's approval for 2 academic biodefense commercialization fund working capital grants totaling $823,517. The first grant is to the Cold Spring Harbor Lab in the amount of $325,517, and the second is to Columbia University for $498,000. This $40 million fund, as you might remember, provides grants to startup companies and academic institutions to accelerate the development and commercialization of life science innovations that address serious infectious disease threats while also creating jobs and encouraging growth across New York's expanding life science industry. Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, led by Dr. John Moses, is using the grant funds to develop an antibiotic class that can provide an effective treatment for multi-drug resistant bacteria by re-engineering an FDA-approved drug. Columbia University, led by Dr. David Brenner, is using the funds to test the efficacy of far UVC light in reducing airborne disease transmission within public spaces. Both grantees have begun work on these grants, met the required spending threshold for initial disbursements, and have been recommended by their mentors to proceed to the next technical milestones. And thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Great, and we could vote for both grants to Columbia and Cold Spring Harbor with one vote. Got it? I will move it. John seconds it. Any comments or questions? We have no comments from the public, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Maria. Next, we have 4 items, 4 separate presenters, 4 separate votes from New York Ventures. We have Sylvia Codoni, Senior Director, New York State Ventures, up first.
Thank you, Chairman. So I'm going to help that a little bit. So there is a part we all have been through it, and for all 4 companies. So all the companies we will present have been through a due diligence process. As part of that due diligence process, the New York State Innovation Venture Fund staff and an external investment advisory committee have evaluated each of the companies, their business plan, growth prospects, as well as the terms of the investment. As a result of this analysis, the New York State Innovation Venture Capital staff and the Investment Advisory Committee both agree that the market opportunity is there, the growth potential offered by these companies is worth for the state of New York and warrants an investment from the fund, and are recommending the approval. So with that known for each of the 4 companies that will be presented, I'll present the first one. This is for C16 Bioscience. We're asking for authorization to invest up to $1 million in the Series A extension round that is led by Breakthrough Energy Ventures. So C16 Bioscience develops microbial oils to decarbonize the consumer products industry. They use precision fermentation to create alternative to oils and fats like the palm oil that is very broadly used, but it has big sustainability problems because of deforestation and CO2 emissions. So with their technology, we can replace palm oil that represents a $62 billion market, and you can find it in all your consumer packaged products, like 50% of them, from lipsticks to ice cream. The company is headquartered in Manhattan and has a pilot facility in Pearl River in New York. And we are asking for an investment of up to $1 million to participate in the Series A extension that is led by Breakthrough Energy Ventures. The proceeds will be for financing the expansion of the team, commercialize the first products, and further optimize production and product development.
So when you say up to $1 million, is that just to give you guys some wiggle room in terms of maybe you'll invest in tranches and give them a couple $100,000 first and then another couple hundred? Or is their overall investment goal not set yet, and we only want to be a percentage of it, so it could be less than $1 million?
Right. Mostly, there are kind of two ways on why we always or nearly always say up to. One is because when it's a prize round, like this is the case, then at the end they count the shares, and it tends to be just slightly under the exact number. The other times is because we always require a matching as well. So normally when we put it forward here is because we already know that there is the matching required. In the case of the New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund is a 2-to-1. But in case something would happen in the meantime, or our legal review happens something and they don't come up with the matching funds, we would then reduce it.
Got it. Thank you, Sylvia. Any other questions for Sylvia on this? All right. We don't have any comments from the public on this. I'll move it. Hilda seconds it. Hope?
No, just voting.
Oh.
Jumping the gun on the vote.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Any opposed? None. And thank you, Sylvia. Next up, we have Clayton Besh, and he's also a director of New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund. Is Clayton with us or on the phone?
On the phone, sir.
The floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. New York Ventures would like to ask the board for authorization for the fund to make an investment of up to $80,000 in EcoStinger's $2 million Series A round, with the balance provided by other experienced investors. EcoStinger, a Rochester-based startup, designs and manufactures aerodynamic products for the trucking industry. Their first product is a fairing that attaches to the undercarriage of tractor trailers, improving fuel economy by at least 5%, which is much better than the competing products such as the side skirts you see on trucks, and while it also protects the undercarriage and brake lines from damage. Its growing pipeline in both U.S. and Canada has launched a new facility to double production to 1,000 units per week. The use of this round's capital is to scale up this production as well as building out their marketing team. Are there any questions?
No. Cool name of the company, EcoStinger. But no, I have no questions. It sounds pretty cool. Wish them good luck. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none, no questions from the public. I'll move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Clayton.
Thank you.
Next up is Marcia Mitchell, also a director in New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund.
Thank you, and hello, everyone. We are requesting approval for an investment of up to $450,000 in the Series BB financing round for Ursa Space Systems, Inc. The New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund previously invested $375,000 in the company's Series B1 back in May 2021, and $1.8 million in Series B preferred stock in September 2019, for a total of $2.175 million invested thus far. As a result of the investment, New York Ventures will retain its pro rata ownership of 4.4% of Ursa on a fully diluted basis. Proceeds from this financing will be used to fund Ursa to break even, projected in Q1 2024, including completion of new products and expanding their customer base via new industry partnerships. Ursa Space is an Ithaca, New York-based satellite intelligence as a service company that provides customers with a subscription for geospatial intelligence based on standardized satellite radar from multiple vendors. Since raising a Series B1 in 2021, the company increased net revenue 3.5 times in 2022. Products and services include subscriptions to basic and premium data analytics, a term-based licensing model for access to ready-made data sets, and a usage-based revenue model, trusted data partner, and geographic information systems expertise. URSA has also achieved 30% reductions in imagery costs, which is significant for maintenance of their profit margin. The company is led by CEO Adam Mayer and President Nicole Robinson, and now has 67 full-time employees with access to the largest network of radar satellites, with 15 years of archived data and the ability to refresh data within minutes to days, leveraging over $8 billion of satellite infrastructure. And I'll stop there for questions.
Great. Thank you, Marcia. Any questions for Marcia? We have no questions from the public. I'll move it. Benson wants to second it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Last up is Jennifer Teagan, Managing Director of New York State Ventures.
Good morning, directors. I get to round out the requests for the team, for the New York Ventures team this morning. My request is an authorization to invest $500,000 in the convertible debt financing round for MindU. This is a woman-led New York City and Israeli-based company, and the total financing round is $2.7 million, with the balance of that financing being provided by private sector investors. New York Ventures has made prior investments in this company that total $1.5 million. MindU is a software as a service company that provides a voice-based virtual care management system with natural language processing, sentiment, complexity analysis to health insurance payers and health systems. What does all of that mean? Basically, it's a conversational artificial intelligence voice bot that conducts routine personalized check-in phone calls with patients. And that information is analyzed using machine learning algorithms and predictive analytics to detect anomalies that allow the care team to respond to specific needs of patients. Through its initial customer engagements, the company has demonstrated that it can save on labor costs from as many as 3 people down to 1. For our healthcare providers, this is incredibly meaningful. It also helps to improve patient outcomes by reducing the hospital readmission rate by more than half compared with industry average. The company not only continues to gain new customers, but is also expanding within each of its customer accounts to new regions and application areas. So based on this progress and continued growth, the New York Ventures team would like to recommend that we continue to support this company's growth in New York State with this additional investment. And I'll pause for any further questions.
Thank you, Jennifer Teagan. Any questions for Jennifer? We have no comments from the public. I think it's pretty cool that we just had 4 different types of companies: a bioscience company, manufacturing for tractor trailers, satellite-based voice recognition company, and now this software voice technology company. Pretty cool, diverse group of companies we're invested in, and we wish them all luck. So again, no comments from the public, no other questions. I'll move it. Michael seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Jennifer. And
thank you.
Next up and last up on the agenda is all the administrative actions, and I believe Doug Janice is going to walk us through all or most of them. Is Doug on the phone with us? Yes, Doug is on the phone.
I am. Good morning, Chairman.
Hi, Doug.
Good morning, directors. As a reminder, in order to streamline our board meetings, we previously implemented an oral summary presentation process in connection with the administrative actions section of the agenda. So you receive a full set of the written descriptive materials for each of these items, as you have for this meeting. And rather than having individual oral presentations made, I'll provide a brief summary of all of the items. And then at the conclusion of the summary, we can entertain any questions or comments that directors may have. So we have a total of 10 items today. The first item is relative to the readoption of the property disposition guidelines and reappointment of the contracting officer. So the board is being asked to adopt the property disposition guidelines for the coming year. The Public Authorities Accountability Act requires the annual adoption of these guidelines. And since 2006, ESD has annually adopted them and implemented guidelines which incorporate all of the requirements of the Act. And the attached 2023 guidelines are patterned after the model guidelines. They have not changed since last year, and so they're being proposed for readoption by the corporation. The next item is relative to the adoption of revised guidelines for the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of procurement contracts by ESD and its subsidiaries. So the board is being asked to adopt revised guidelines for the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of procurement contracts for the coming year. This is required by Section 2879 of the Public Authorities Law. And so each year the corporation updates and revises the guidelines in accordance with that law. While the 2023 guidelines are substantially similar to the adopted 2022 guidelines, staff is recommending some minor changes to clarify and better organize the guidelines and to make them more user-friendly, logical, and coherent, while ensuring that ESD obtains goods and services in an open, accountable, and transparent manner. So changes for this year include permitting staff to utilize the federal general supply schedules to make purchases without competitive procurement, provided those purchases are of best value to ESD. Clarifying the submission process and opening procedures for bids and proposals that are received electronically that were adopted by the board in last year's guidelines. Providing new links to 2 new templates that are being provided to staff to help them when they do competitive procurements. And updating and clarifying the contractor and supplier diversity requirements to make them more easily understood and utilized by staff. So the attached 2023 guidelines, which incorporate those changes, are being proposed for adoption by the board. The next item is an authorization to purchase corporate insurance policies and take related action. Board is asked to authorize the renewal of ESD's 2023/2024 corporate insurance policies. ESD is required to purchase various types of insurance policies to protect its board members, employees, assets, and subsidiaries from financial losses. Preliminary estimate for ESD's total fiscal year 2023-24 insurance premiums was estimated to be not to exceed approximately $1,375,343.73, which was 17.4% higher than last year's total premium. After further discussions with our insurance broker, we expect the actual insurance premium increase to hover closer to 10%. And staff will continue to negotiate with the insurance carriers prior to the April 1st renewal to lower ESD's premiums as much as possible without reducing our coverage.
Hey, Doug. Doug. Question on that one. I didn't see it in the materials that were sent to us. And just a reminder, all of the information for all of these items that we're voting on have been shared with the directors. Does any of that corporate insurance include D&O insurance for members of this board, or are we covered under the general state indemnification provisions?
Correct. You're covered by the sections of the Public Authorities Law and the other sections relevant to indemnification as board members.
Right.
We also carry D&O.
Yeah, this is an extra layer, but there is the state indemnification.
Got it. And the DO is supplement and after?
This layer includes claims against ESD, whereas the state indemnification is just to employees and directors, not ESD generally.
Got it. So we have both.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, Doug, continue.
All right, so our next item, 7D, is going to be presented by Steve Gowlick, our Vice President of Policy and Capital Projects and Senior Counsel. So I'm going to turn this over to him. Steve?
Thanks, Doug. The board is being asked to approve authorizing entering in a memorandum of understanding with ESD subsidiary, the Erie County Stadium Corporation, to manage the state funds that are being used for the Erie County Stadium project. Just as a little background, the Buffalo Bills play in a stadium now called Highmark Stadium out in Orchard Park, New York, which is a suburb of Buffalo. The stadium was built and owned by Erie County in 1973. Since 1998, when renovations were done, the Erie County Stadium Corporation, the ESD subsidiary, was formed and leased the stadium from the county and subleased it to the Bills, and they have played there since. There was a renewal of the lease and some additional state funds and county and Bills fundings to do renovations to the stadium in 2013. And that lease was a 10-year lease, is expiring in 2023, actually July of this year. So last year, the Stadium Corporation, working with the governor's office, entered a memorandum of understanding to build a new stadium across the street from the existing facility in Orchard Park. It's a $1.4 billion project. It's being built by the Buffalo Bills with $600 million coming from the state, $250 million from the Erie County, and the remaining funding being provided by the Bills. So the Bills will build it. They have any cost overruns, but we have a significant investment in the stadium. Once the stadium is completed, expected in 3 years, the Stadium Corporation will take ownership of the stadium and the entire complex, which includes administrative buildings, practice facilities, some 250 acres, and then we'll lease the new facility to the Bills for 30 years. So what we're asking for today is, the Stadium Corporation's board adopted a general project plan and affirmed that last week. It also named a president of the corporation, Steve Rinaldi, who has been working with the Erie Canal Harbor Development Corporation as its president. So the project's moving forward. The Stadium Corporation's board has met and approved the deal. But we're asking this board is, since the Stadium Corporation, really all the back office stuff is done by ESD, we're asking that the board authorize entering a memorandum of understanding with the Stadium Corporation, which ESD will essentially accept the funding from the state and manage the funding for the project on behalf of the Stadium Corporation. So again, it's a 3-year project, $1.4 billion. We're starting construction, early construction, hopefully next month, and with major construction starting in June. So if there's any questions, feel free to fire away.
Steve, it sounds very exciting. Although I'm a Jets fan, I really think it's great that this project is moving forward, and good luck with it. And so this is just for the MOU and the ESD role, as Steve mentioned, more of a back office function that we play for the subsidiary up there. So good luck up there, Steve. All right, Doug, you're going to continue?
Yep, thank you.
I am, Chairman. Thank you. Our next item is relative to the Restoration Central Industrial Project. It's a request to adopt an amendment to the general project plan to modify the ground lease agreement and to hold a public hearing. So the directors are being asked to approve a modification of the Restoration Center Industrial Project general project plan and a 3-year extension of and other modifications to the ground lease agreement between UDC Commercial Center, Inc., which is a subsidiary of ESD, and RDC Commercial Center, Inc., which is a subsidiary of the Bedford State-of-Int Restoration Corporation, for the property located in Brooklyn known as Restoration Plaza. Directors are also being requested to authorize scheduling a public hearing. So as background, the UDC subsidiary entered into a 40-year ground lease with Restoration in 1978 as part of a sale leaseback arrangement and a tri-party agreement among the City of New York, Restoration, and UDC, pursuant to which the city requested that UDC assist Restoration in constructing and renovating new retail and office spaces, office facilities adjacent to existing improvements owned by Restoration. The rent received by ESD under the lease is remitted to the city. Restoration intends to exercise its purchase option of the property prior to the lease expiration. The 3-year extension and rent modification will enable Restoration to conduct community and stakeholder outreach and pursue approvals for a proposed redevelopment of Restoration Plaza, while simultaneously continuing to provide critical economic development services and benefits to the Bedford State-of-Int community, such as job training and placement services, business development services, and arts and cultural programs. Our next item is relative to the 120 Wall Street Civic Project. This is a request for an extension of a pilot arrangement that was put in place 10 years ago to maintain an active not-for-profit center in Lower Manhattan. 100% of the value of the pilot subsidy flows directly to not-for-profits occupying the building. ESD holds title to the building for purposes of establishing the pilot, but has no other obligation. ESD has no financial investment. They don't operate or maintain, and we're fully indemnified. The arrangement has been successful at retaining and attracting not-for-profits, and the extension would be for another 20 years from the current 20-year term that expires in 2032 to a full 40-year term expiring in 2052. And this action is being requested now because the current 2032 lease extension is beginning to impact lease negotiations. The next item is relative to an authorization to amend the contract with Hardwick Law Firm, LLC, for general legal services in connections with transaction requirements for bond offerings and refinancings. Directors are asked to authorize ESD to amend the contract with Hardwick Law Firm, LLC, which is an MWBE firm, for general legal services in connection with transaction requirements for bond offerings and refinancings, which will extend the contract term to allow them to continue to do the work that they're already doing on ESD's behalf. Our next item, 7H, is relative to the procurement of a developer for the database of economic initiatives and an authorization to amend the contract with Knowledge Builders, Inc. So the directors are being asked to amend ESD's contract with Knowledge Builders, Inc. to expand the existing economic initiatives database to include other state agencies' projects. Currently, the database is only for ESD-sponsored projects, but with some changes to the law now, we've been asked to expand this to include other agencies' projects as well. Additionally, the vendor will add 25 to 30 new data points to the existing database and user interface to report on additional information requested by the New York State Legislature. The current contract is for $612,750 and is due to expire in October, and the amendment would extend the term for an additional 3 years at a cost of $756,800 plus a $151,360 contingency for a total contract amount not to exceed $1,520,910, which is funded through a New York State budget appropriation. Next item is relative to the Creedmoor Community Master Plan, and it's an authorization to enter into a contract amendment with WXY Architecture and Urban Design PC for design services. So staff is presenting a modification of the existing contract with WXY related to the proposed Creedmoor Psychiatric Center redevelopment. Modification would raise the maximum contract value and extend the term through the end of the calendar year. The original contract scope included a high-level site analysis for Creedmoor, and the modifications will allow for the development of a more comprehensive community master plan developed in close consultation with residents in the neighborhood surrounding the psychiatric center. Our final item is relative to the contract renewal for Dun & Bradstreet, Inc. And this item is requesting that the directors authorize to renew an existing contract with Dun & Bradstreet for the firm's Market Insight database. The proposed term of the contract is 1 year, and the funding source is corporate funds. The total contract amount is $566,584.95, with the cost being split between ESD and the New York State Department of Labor. ESD is responsible for 35%, and the Department of Labor is responsible for 65%. And Dun & Bradstreet services are being procured by ESD and DOL as a sole source provider because this database is unique and there's nothing else out there that they could use as an alternative. And with that, I will now turn it back over to our chair, who will call for any questions or comments you may have on any of the items before calling for a vote. We also have item-related staff on the line today as well to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Any questions on any of the items that Doug discussed with us and or that have been previously shared with us? Hearing none, I will move them. Hilda will second them. No comments from the public on any of these items. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. That concludes our official agenda. Does any board member have any other item they'd like to raise at this time? Not hearing any. Before we meet again on April 20th here in the city, You get to enjoy the first week of spring, March Madness, and we wish you a very happy Easter and a happy Passover. And we'll see you on April 20th. Thank you. Motion to adjourn by Rob, second by John. All in favor? Aye. We are done. Thank you.
Saturday is